Call the February 8th, 2018 Commission meeting to order. First order of business is approval of the minutes from January 25th. Any changes to those? They'll stand as written. Next item is the financial statement. Mr. Kim Rupp.
Thank you. This is financial summaries of the revenue and expenditure activities for the City of Hayes, month ended December 31, 2017. Revenues in December totaled $8,400,000, a decrease of $913,000 compared to the same period as last year. A couple of notable areas of increased revenue. Airport Improvement Fund revenues increased due to the reimbursement on the airport wildlife fence work to date in the amount of $363,000. And City Commission Capital Reserves miscellaneous revenue was up $195,000 due to adjusting journal entries in connection with several projects closed out in capital projects. This includes items that had project cost savings and adjustments over the last couple of years. Notable areas of revenue decrease compared to 16. The large decrease in revenues mentioned above was due in large part to the timing of many of the interfund transfers made throughout the year. Many are completed as revenue becomes available, while others were increased due to a rise in revenue. Continued efforts are in place to standardize this practice in the future to avoid these variances. Excuse me. Expenditures in December totaled $8,765,000. That's a decrease of $1.2 million as compared to 16. Some notable areas of increased expenditure. Public Works Service, general supplies and materials rose $30,000 due to the purchase of crack seal and tack oil in preparation for street work. New equipment in the Solid Waste Division was up $12,525 as compared to a year ago for the purchase of replacement polycarts. Special highway expenditures increased $34,000 for the budgeted capital project of concrete patching at 6th and Oak. And stormwater reserve projects was up $130,000 for the ongoing storm sewer lining project. One note of decreased expenditures. Much of the large decrease in expenditures mentioned above is for the transfer to Commission Capital Reserves. It was significantly lower than last year. However, we were able to double the budgeted amount to $1.6 million. This was made possible by the $982,000 savings in general fund operating expenditures across all departments for 2017 as compared to budget. Month-to-date general fund sales tax collections were at $584,731. That's an increase of $8,983 or 1.56 as compared to a year ago. General fund collections ended the year at $7,108,045. That's down a negative $76,681 or just a negative 1% when compared to actuals from a year ago. When building the 2018 budget, sales tax was projected to end 2017 at $7.2 million. It's also worth noting that total revenue for the general fund was only off $40,000 compared to budget for 2017. The report of quarter-to-date sales tax collections by industry classification was down $40,000 or a negative 2%. Those top 10 represent 73% of the total quarter-to-date sales tax distribution. One positive trend on this report is the classification for department stores. We have continued to see this trend up over the last few months. The portfolio certificates of deposit on December 31, 2017 totaled $50,350,000 with a weighted average interest rate of 1.2%. That's up 0.47 from a year ago. We're also excited to announce that in December, we entered the U.S. Treasury securities market. We purchased 2 Treasury notes for a total purchase price of just under $4.5 million, carrying a par value of $4,507,000. So we did get a bit of a discount on those. The average yield to maturity on both is 1.74%. That's 0.53 over the weighted average interest rate on the portfolio certificates as mentioned above. Total balance of the money market account on December 31 was $1 million with a current yield of 0.2. Total investments are down $1.5 million when compared to this time last year. That's due to the increased expenditures for the reconstruction at the wastewater treatment facility, which we are funding out of capital projects. Those costs will continue to grow exponentially in the coming months. In January, we will be receiving, or we did receive, a draw on the state revolving loan in excess of $5 million to reimburse the city for the reconstruction costs in 2017. As things progress, we will consider taking that draw more than once a year.
I move we approve the financial statement as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Schwaller, second by Commissioner Bussel. Any comments or questions?
At least two compliments. I want to thank the city staff and department heads for the savings. Nearly $1 million over budget, and that is fantastic. And you don't hear that very often, but except from the city staff and management of the city of Hayes. Also, thank you for investing in treasuries. I think that's obviously it's a wise move, not risky, and the gain in revenue is fantastic. Good job.
Thank you.
I would agree, and it's also nice to see sales tax rebound a little bit, for where we've been, so it's good to see that. Thank you, Kim.
Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Have any citizen comments for non-agenda items tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to employee promotions and new hires. Who's first up?
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Tobin Miller, Water Resources, Distribution and Reclamation Maintenance Foreman. Tonight, I'm introducing Austin Kane. He's Maintenance Worker 1. Austin began his career with the city as a part-time maintenance worker in 2015. Austin became full-time in December of 2017 as a Maintenance Worker 1. Recently, Austin graduated from Fort Hays State with a degree in agronomy. Yeah, there we go. And will walk in May to receive his diploma. Austin is very involved in his church community. Over the summer of 2017, he completed a mission trip in Lawrence, Kansas. We are grateful for Austin for his dedication to his job and his department.
Welcome.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Welcome
Austin.
to the city.
Thanks for
Thank you.
your mission work as well.
Yeah, congratulations.
Good afternoon, Don Scheibler, Chief of Police for the Hayes Police Department. Tonight it's my pleasure to introduce to you our newest police officer, Officer Austin Savage. Austin comes from us from Peabody, Kansas. Like so many of our bright young people that come to our community, he's brought here by Fort Hays State University. Just got his degree in Justice Studies, a bachelor's degree, a minor in psychology. He just completed the 14-week basic police academy at the Kansas Law Enforcement Training Center. Did extremely well there. We're very proud of him. He's currently in the FTO program. His FTO is in the back of the room waiting for him to go back to work. So we're very excited about having Austin on our team. We're happy to have him on board.
So which Savages are you related to in Marion County?
Ray and Patty Savage.
Okay. I'm from Marion. I went to
Oh,
Marion
okay.
High School. So welcome. It's good to see another Marion County. I understand which county is better, so we're glad to have you here.
Congratulations on
Thank you.
completing the training.
Yeah,
Good
welcome.
for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, we can hire people that don't have the first name Austin. It doesn't have to be a prerequisite. I mean, it is refreshing.
I just assumed we were starting at A.
Well, we can work that to Zebulon.
Yeah.
That would be fine.
That would be
Walter?
fine. Next item is the consent agenda. We have one appointment for approval, and that's Molly, and I'm going to mess up the last name here, Gauger, not sure how to pronounce that, but from Taco Shop for the CVB committee. That was one that Melissa had talked to and was very excited about having her join. And then I don't know if you guys got a copy of it, but there were 3 kind of additions for, these are just advisements, and so they'll be reappearing in 2 weeks. The first is David Ashbaugh for the Golf Course Advisory Board. He's employed out at Hayes Med and also an avid golfer, and talked to Jeff Boyle and some other people, and they're excited about having him start. Michael Mosshart for the Hayes Beautification Committee, also a Hayes Med employee. His wife works in the cancer center as a nurse with me, and a great couple. I'm sure he'll do a great job. And then finally, Gary Good to the Hayes Housing Authority Board, a former Hayes Med employee who's now retired, and he has some family that he thinks at some point may be availing themselves of some of the low-income housing or income variable income dependent housing here in Hayes. So I think he'll be a good addition to that as well. So
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
motion by Commissioner Schwaller, seconded by Commissioner Jacobs. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Next item is the 43rd and 45th Street Reconstruction and Design Engineering Agreement.
Good evening, Commissioners. John Brown, the City Project Manager. Per the Commission directive last week, this item has been modified to include engineering design services for both 43rd and 45th Street. 43rd and 45th Street West Divine are both 3-lane concrete roads constructed in the year 2000 as part of the Walmart Supercenter. The pavement is failing and has been patched several times since then. It has reached the point where full replacement has become necessary. The proposed development west of Walmart provides an opportunity to coordinate construction activities. The timing and bidding environment are right to reconstruct these streets sooner rather than later. The proposed project is to reconstruct only the pavement and to beef up the road base. Existing curb and gutter and driveways would remain. We would also take this opportunity to construct new sidewalk along the north side of the street. Pictures here show the current lack of sidewalk. Similarly, the existing curb and gutter would remain untouched on 45th Street unless it has failed. Driggs Design Group is the engineer for the new development extending 43rd Street to the west. Having the same engineer for both the extension and the reconstruction projects makes logical sense due to their familiarity with both projects, potential overlap of related tasks, and the economy of scale. Driggs Design Group has prepared a scope and a fee that is favorable to the city. The proposed schedule calls for a June bid opening with the reconstruction of 43rd Street to be completed before the end of the year. 45th Street reconstruction may carry over into 2019. The estimated construction cost for both projects combined is $1.47 million. Although this estimate will be refined as design progresses. The engineering cost of $53,628 combined with the construction cost results in a total project cost of just over $1.5 million. The capital improvement plan within the 2018 budget called for the reconstruction of 43rd and 45th Street in 2019 to be funded out of Commission capital reserves. As discussed last week, the 1.2 estimate in the CIP may not be adequate. Even after paying cash for the reconstruction of Allen Street this year, the Commission Capital Reserve Fund has adequate funds to reconstruct both 43rd and 45th Streets. So the Commission options are to authorize the City Manager to enter into an agreement with Driggs Design Group, direct staff elsewhere, or to do nothing. Here's the action requested.
I move to authorize the city manager to enter into agreement with Driggs Design Group in the amount of $53,628 for engineering services related to design of the reconstruction of 43rd and 45th Streets west of Vine to be funded from Commission capital reserves.
Second. I have a motion by Commissioner Smaller, seconded by Commissioner Dinkle. Comments, questions?
John, I just have a question, especially on 45th with all the heavy-duty truck traffic we have up there. I mean, will that, they take into effect that with the
Right.
design?
Yeah, it'll be designed to accommodate the deliveries and the truck traffic it's on there.
I know, I mean, you go out there early in the morning, there's semis out there all the time.
Right.
That's always gonna have an effect, so.
This is really favorable. I appreciated Commissioner Schwaller suggesting this last week because it seems like a really good move for us. An increase of 18,000 in engineering, it's much less than double. And as we talked about last week, with the bidding being what it is right now, it sure seems like it's going to be favorable to us. And then look at the numbers, which are nice.
Look great.
So I guess I had some more questions about the engineering estimate because I didn't see where that was necessarily updated in the packet to reflect the addition of the 45th Street. Were there going to be any estimates as far as what that addition is going to cost us? Because the engineering estimates for 43rd were around $850,000, correct?
Right, and the estimated cost for the 45th Street portion is
the 620.
620,000. And you had asked last week about how those compared with previous projects like Allen and 8th. These estimates are based on the 8th Street numbers. When we look at past projects, and similar items of work like pavement and things related to pavement like the base and all that stuff. And then we can look at other items like traffic control and testing and even mobilization costs and stuff like that. We can kind of divide it up into two different ways. And so the pavement portion of this was pulled right out of the 8th Street bid items to get this estimate. Now, the Allen Street numbers are actually lower than this, but Allen was really low, great bid prices.
Right.
And we're a little uncomfortable tweaking this down that much, but hopefully the bidding environment will remain the same and we'll see lower numbers in these.
Great. That was a great explanation. Thank you very much. Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Next item is the Essential Air Service Letter of Support.
The U.S. Department of Transportation solicited proposals for passenger service at the Hayes Regional Airport to begin August 1st, when the current 2-year contract expires. They received one proposal for the service, and that is from SkyWest Airlines, the current carrier under United Express. SkyWest bid 12 flights a week. They are asking the Department of Transportation for a $3.1 million annual subsidy, which is about $400,000 a year less than their current contract. They are proposing a 3-year contract to go into effect August 1, 2018 through August 1, 2021. The Department of Transportation said they're open to a 3-year contract. If the City Commission were to recommend that, they would give it full consideration. The commission is being presented with a letter of support. Just to refresh your memory, the United States Department of Transportation makes the final decision on this, but they want community comments as part of the process. If they take that into consideration, they always weight the community comments very highly. So you've been presented with a letter of support. If you so authorize, it'll be sent in and be filed as part of the record.
I think this is going to be good for the community. I think it's nice that they're doing a 3-year contract so that we have a little bit more stability, I guess, but I think they've been a very stable carrier for the past 4 years.
I would agree. I think, the community is starting to come back, and I think with having a 2-year contract, I think it's even going to come back more, and plus with the eastbound flight, I'm excited about this.
With that, I think we need a motion.
I'll move that we authorize a letter in support of the selection of SkyWest Airlines to provide commercial passenger service at the Hayes Regional Airport for 2018 through 2021 contract period.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Musel, second by Commissioner Dingle. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Next, we'll open up the public hearing for the establishment of the Hayes Hotel LLC Hilton Garden Inn redevelopment project. We'll get a presentation by Mr. Rupp here, and then we'll have public comments.
Good evening, Commissioners. Kim Rupp, Director of Finance. Hayes Hotel LLC and Mitra Developers, together the developer, submitted an application for economic incentives relating to a Hilton Garden Inn full-service hotel and convention center project. The developer is requesting tax increment financing, or TIF, a community improvement district, or CID, and a rebate of the city's 5% transient guest tax generated by the project. The public hearing and ordinance are the next steps in the process required under state law to approve TIF financing for the project. Primary effect of passing the ordinance tonight is locking in the base year assessed valuation of the project site. After the ordinance becomes effective, any future increase in property tax generated within the TIF district boundaries will accrue to the TIF fund. The TIF fund will be held separately by the city for the purpose of reimbursing the developer for eligible project costs on a pay-as-you-go basis. Additionally, the public hearing triggers a 30-day period during which the county and the school district may veto creation of the TIF district. During this period, the county or school district may adopt a resolution stating that the TIF district will have an adverse effect on them respectively. If such a resolution is adopted and delivered to the City Commission must terminate the TIF district by ordinance per state law. If the Commission passes the ordinance and neither the county nor the school district exercise its veto right, the next steps would include negotiation of a TIF project plan and development agreement between city staff and the developer. Such documents would be subject to Commission approval at a later meeting date. The red box on this map is the proposed site for the TIF district. Consequently, we may be using the terminology redevelopment district and TIF district interchangeably. For these purposes, they are one and the same. You may recall this area and the area around it was annexed and platted by you recently. This is a portion of that area. This is a depiction of the site plan. You can see the plan for the hotel and convention center with its surrounding parking, as well as 2 outlets for future development in the same district. The project within the district includes a 4-story Hilton Garden Inn with approximately 100 rooms, an 8,400 square foot convention center, restaurant and lounge, 2 outlets for future retail and/or restaurant development, as well as infrastructure improvements required to serve the site, including water, sewer, street, utilities, and pedestrian infrastructure. So this particular application for tax increment financing is asking for incremental property taxes at the site. It would not include the capture of sales tax at the site as you would normally find in a TIF district. So the retailer sales tax collected would go to the intended taxing authorities as any other normal sales tax would. This TIF will be for a 20-year term on a pay-as-you-go basis. Therefore, the developer is not asking for the city to issue any bonds. They are pursuing their own financing for this project. The developer is estimating $3.7 million will be generated over the term of the TIF. So a little 101 on TIF. Prior to development, based on the date of the public hearing and passage of a TIF ordinance, a base in tax revenue is established on the project site. For illustrative purposes, we'll assume the base to be $100 in tax revenue. After the development is complete, a new assessment on the property is completed and therefore establishing a new tax revenue. For this purpose, we'll assume the post-development tax revenue to be $100,000. As you can see in the middle of this graphic, the state keeps their 1.5 mils, the school keeps the 8 mils for capital outlay, and their 20 mils for the school finance. So reducing the new total post-development tax revenues by those, as well as the base, we end up with a total increment of $70,400 in this illustration. That represents the tax increment that would be captured at this site for reimbursement to the developer for TIF-eligible costs. Finally, given the complexity of this request, we thought we'd review the calendar a little. Again, it includes several more trips back to you before all this is complete. If you continue to move things forward, the next items will be in March to set public hearings for both the TIF project plan as well as the creation of the Community Improvement District. Then in April, we would conduct those public hearings as well as approve ordinances for the TIF project plan and creation of the CID sales tax. We would also ratify the transient gas tax agreement by your previous actions and approve a development agreement, which would have been in negotiations up until this point as well. So after the close of tonight's public hearing, you would have 2 options on this, on the next agenda item. One would be to approve the TIF or do nothing. If you choose to do nothing, it stalls this development, as they have indicated they could not complete the improvements without the TIF. Staff does recommend, and we are asking to move this forward with the proposed development by the approval of ordinance 3948.
So I see some unfamiliar faces in the audience. If anybody has any public comment that they want to make on this subject, this would be the time to do that. Okay, seeing none, entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I move we close the public hearing for the TIF district.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Swaller, seconded by Commissioner Jacobs. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Next item is the ordinance establishing the Hilton Garden Inn redevelopment district.
I'll move approval of the ordinance number 3948, establishing a tax increment financing district, also known as a redevelopment district, as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Musil. Any further discussion, questions? No. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Next is the city manager employment agreement, the 10th addendum.
The financial portion of my contract is typically handled via addendum. So the city commission is being presented with an addendum to my contract. that would provide for fiscal year 2018 a 2% cost of living increase, a 2% merit increase. This is the same raises that all the other city employees received, and it was budgeted as part of the 2018 budget.
There's no other questions or comments?
I move we approve the city manager employment agreement 10th addendum as presented. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Waller, seconded by Commissioner Musil. All those in favor?
Comment.
Yeah.
So, why is it like Tom Wilson? Just so the public knows, just so the public knows that every year, as with every employee, the city manager undergoes an evaluation. It's a 360 in that the department heads, the people that work for him, do an evaluation, and then we are given those comments and we do an evaluation of it as well. We then meet in executive session, but take no action to review and come to a consensus on what we wish to do and present those findings to him. So we certainly found things that we thought were going well, things we thought needed improvement, and those were shared with him, and we are very pleased with his performance.
I agree with that. Toby does an outstanding job. I've not been on the commission as long as the rest of you, but I'm just impressed every day with what you do and how you handle staff particularly. So I really appreciate that. Toby, thank you.
I do also, and I'm a big fan of, just the staff you have working for you shows a lot about you, and I think your staff is excellent, so thank you.
Yeah.
Got a lot of work ahead of us, but appreciate what you do.
Okay. With that, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Commissioner Dingle, did you have any other comments for us tonight?
I know I was very,
That's you, sir.
it's a good word. No, nothing.
I just wanted to make a comment on February, last week. We actually opened the sales for the Bruise on the Bricks event we will have for April 7th. And it's always fun to talk about when it's really successful, and again, it was very successful. But more important than that, I think last year there was some, maybe some hard feelings about people not being able to get tickets in certain ways because it was all done online. And the Downtown Hayes Development Corporation and Sarah Bloom then redesigned how the tickets were available this year. There was a certain number of tickets were available at 8 o'clock in the morning at the office, and there were people there at 6 to get in line for them. There were then tickets available at 9 a.m. online. And then there was another 100 tickets available at Gallows, one of the brewers, local breweries, at 11 o'clock and then at 4 o'clock out at Defiance. And everybody was really pleased. They had lines everywhere. It was interesting. The tickets sold out very quickly. The ones online that were available online, which were 150 VIP and 600 general admission. VIP, and I don't know how this happens, you technological people can figure this out, but we're going in 31 seconds. And less than 7 minutes for the 600 general admission. So you gotta be sitting at your computer, push and refresh, getting ready to go. So again, we're looking forward to an outstanding event on April 7th in our community. We should have in excess of 1,200 people, and it'll be great.
That's awesome. Took me 1 minute to get 2 tickets,
Yeah.
and I'm not very technically as you guys are. But, I just want to touch, last week, Mayor, you talked a little bit about the governor being in town, and I'll be honest, I don't really look at the state and federal like you guys do in depth, and then I get busy at work and I don't know what to think about it. But I just got to thinking a lot about, how cool it is to have the governor of Kansas from Hayes. And I really hope with the current legislators that we have the city of Hayes, we have a continue to, work with them on our water project. It sounds like they've actually reached out to you or whatever, just in response, and it sounds like it's been positive. So I'm hoping with our water project we have going that there's gonna be some really positive action with the new governor.
I think so. Mr. Schwaller?
Nothing.
Okay. Yeah, I have gotten some communication. I haven't, it's only been one way so far,
Sure.
but I hope to have some more positive updates on that in the future. So, not so much for you guys, but just for kind of the folks watching at home. I wanted to, one of the things that the mayor is charged with is, the two gentlemen to my left know, is getting appointments to the various boards and committees that this city has, and we have a lot. And surprisingly, most of those positions are filled, I think, because we have a very active and involved citizenry. here in Hayes. But I did want to review some of the openings that are open, that where there are no applicants for, and if there's somebody at home who might be interested, or if they know of somebody who might be interested. One that just opened up is a position on the Care Council, and their primary function is to consider the allocation of the alcohol tax dollars that the city and the county receive from the state, and then also to allocate United Way funds. And that's part of the outside agency budget that we do every year at the City Commission. But all of that goes through the Care Council first, and they're analyzing all of that and deciding the best use of that money. So there's a position open for that. Another position is on the Hayes Beautification Committee. They have typically once monthly or perhaps even less meetings, and I just looked at their agenda that they're getting ready to look at, and they look at things like looking at tree rebates for the beautification of the city. They're going to be looking at the Vine Street corridor beautification and what they can do there. I know that the new monument signs that we had put up on the interstate, that was a part of the Hayes Beautification Committee. So if that's something that interests you, maybe that would be a great position to give back to the community. Another position that just recently opened up is on the library board. I will say that this one is probably a little bit more demanding than the others, and because the library board is actually charged with a good chunk of the property tax money that the city generates. So for folks who aren't familiar at home, the city generates or levies 25 mills of property tax, and I believe it's 7 mills of that goes to library board. So and they're the ones who determine how that's spent. So they're charged with a pretty big responsibility as far as tax dollars, and also the running of the library that have a lot of full-time staff. And right now we're in the midst of trying to hire a new director. So there's a lot of things going on at the library. This isn't a position for the weak of heart. It is a rather demanding position. And so I may be a little bit out in left field, but I think it would be great if we could have multiple applicants for this position, so we can really get somebody who's going to be engaged, who loves the library, and really wants to get involved. Other openings is on the Sister Cities Board. There's 2 openings on the Northwest Kansas Community Correction Board. There's 1 opening, and in the future there might be possible openings on the Airport Advisory Committee Board. So if those are things that interest you and you might think to apply yourself, or there's somebody else that you might want to apply, if you go to hayesusa.com and click on Government and then click on Committees, there'll be a link there to volunteer for a committee. You can fill out the link online with your information, or there's an actual application, hard application you can download and print out and fill out. So it's hayesusa.com, then go to Government, Committees, and then volunteer for a committee. That is all we had. With that, may God bless the city of Hayes. Meeting adjourned.